A gray, heavy sky pressed low over the small Texas college town, the kind that made the air feel thick and tired. Rain slicked the sidewalks and rooftops, blurring neon signs and turning passing headlights into streaks of white. Mark Davis trudged along the wet pavement with his backpack hanging off one shoulder, his clothes sticking to him from the drizzle. At 23, he carried responsibilities that weighed far heavier than his years. Final exams in law school, a part-time job at the library, and an ocean of debt left behind by his late father. Every day felt like walking through quicksand. His phone buzzed inside his pocket. Mark wiped the rain from his hands before answering. Mark Davis speaking. A composed, authoritative voice responded. "Mr. Davis, this is Eleanor Brooks. I'd like to meet with you. It concerns your financial situation." Mark frowned, his steps slowing. "I'm sorry, who are you? How do you know anything about—" "I know enough," she interrupted smoothly. 7 p.m. at Brooks Bistro. Do not be late. The matter is important. The call ended before he could ask another question. Confused, uneasy, and soaked from the rain, Mark ducked under a bookstore awning. Eleanor Brooks. He knew the name, but only vaguely. Rumors of a wealthy widow who owned several businesses around town. Why would a woman like her care about his finances? Still, something in her tone left him no room to ignore the invitation. The bistro. By the time he reached the upscale cafe, rain fell in heavy sheets. His jacket did little to protect him. Water dripped from his hair as he pushed open the door. Warm lighting greeted him, along with the scent of roasted coffee and lemon pastries. At a corner table sat Eleanor Brooks herself. She was striking, tall, elegantly dressed in a tailored cream suit, her silver hair styled flawlessly. Her presence radiated wealth and control, as though she belonged not just in the room but above it. "Mark," she said, gesturing for him to sit. Her tone was calm, commanding. "Thank you for coming." Mark rubbed his damp hands on his jeans before taking the seat opposite her. "Mrs. Brooks, what is this about?" Straight to the point. "Good." She lifted her tea to her lips. "Mark, I know about your debts. The ones your father left behind. I know the cost of your mother's treatments, the overdue tuition for your sister, and how close you are to dropping out." His stomach tightened. "How do you know all that?" "I make it my business to know things." She leaned back gracefully. "And I'm here to offer you a solution." Mark crossed his arms. "What kind of solution?" Eleanor set her cup down, her piercing blue eyes locking onto his. "Marry me." The words hung in the air like a thunderbolt. Mark blinked slowly, certain he had misheard. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," she said, unfazed. "This is not about romance. It is a business arrangement. I will pay off all your debts and secure your future. In return, you'll be my husband." A hollow laugh escaped him. This had to be a joke. "You're serious? You don't even know me." "That's the point," she replied. "You are young, unattached, and desperate enough to consider this. I do not need love. Mark, I need a companion. Someone to share my name and my estate. Think of it as a contract." He shook his head. "This is insane. What's in it for you?" For the first time, her expression softened. "Just a fraction. I have spent my life alone," she said quietly. "My husband died years ago. I have no children. I want companionship, at least in appearance. And I want control of my legacy. A husband makes that easier." Mark stood abruptly, the leg of his chair scraping loudly. "I need time." "Of course." Her voice remained cool. "But do not take too long. The offer will not stand forever. The choice." Rain hammered against the windows of Mark's small home that night. He sat across from his mother at their peeling kitchen table, the weight of Eleanor's proposal pressing against his ribs. His mother's face was frail from years of illness. Worry clung to her eyes like shadows. After Mark explained everything, she whispered, "It sounds unthinkable, but maybe it's worth considering." Mark's throat tightened. "Mom, you're asking me to marry someone I don't love. Someone old enough to be—" "I'm asking you to save yourself," she said bravely, though her voice shook. "And to save us." The words hollowed him out. The wedding. A week later, Mark stood in a small courthouse wearing a suit Eleanor had purchased. The ceremony was private, just Eleanor, her lawyer, a notary, and Mark. As they exchanged vows, a cold unease gnawed at him. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Eleanor offered him a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Welcome to your new life, Mr. Davis," she murmured. Outside, rain drizzled again. Mark looked at his reflection in a puddle, pale, uncertain, and afraid. Had he saved his family or sold his soul? The estate, the gates of Eleanor Brooks's estate, swung open as the cab rolled up the winding drive. The mansion loomed like a monument, towering columns, stone facades, ornate fountains, but its windows were disturbingly dark, lifeless. Eleanor met him in the foyer. "Welcome home, Mr. Davis." The formal address sent a chill down his spine. Dinner that evening was extravagant. Too extravagant. Eleanor ate with precision, her posture stiff, eyes unreadable. "You didn't mention much about your late husband," Mark ventured. Her knife froze mid-cut. She dabbed her mouth with her napkin before speaking. "He was a businessman, like your father. Their paths crossed once or twice." "What does that mean?" "Not all encounters end well." Her words felt like a weight dropping to the floor. Mark's pulse quickened. "You'll soon understand why I chose you," she said cryptically. Locked doors. Days passed. The staff avoided eye contact, whispering behind doors. Mark noticed several rooms locked, their brass handles gleaming oddly in the dim light. Conversation stopped whenever he entered the hallways. One night, while wandering through the vast library, he noticed Eleanor's desk drawer slightly open. Inside lay an ornate key, small, gold, intricate. His heart hammered. He glanced around. No one. Mark slipped the key into his pocket. That night in bed. He turned it over in his hand, unable to shake the fear crawling across his skin. What was Eleanor hiding? And why had she really chosen him? The room. Hours past midnight. The mansion was silent. Mark crept down the hall, the key cold in his trembling hand. He stopped at the door with carvings he hadn't noticed before, flowers winding around the frame, nearly lifelike. He inserted the key. Click. The door creaked open. The room inside was a museum of the past. Dusty wallpaper, antique furniture, faded photographs. He lifted one frame, Eleanor as a young woman. Another, her late husband. And another photo of a couple he didn't recognize. But it was a stack of papers on the desk that stole his breath. Legal documents. Letters. Contracts. A letter in sharp handwriting. "You ruined everything. My family was left with nothing because of your father's lies." Mark's heart pounded. His father? What lies? Then he saw something worse. A marriage license. His name. Eleanor's. Dated weeks before the wedding. She had planned this long. Before he said yes. His hands shook as he opened a leather-bound diary. Eleanor's entry spelled out a terrifying narrative. "I will take everything from him, just as his father took everything from us. He will pay. He will be my pawn." A floorboard creaked. Mark froze. "Enjoying yourself?" Eleanor's voice sliced through the darkness. He spun around. Her silhouette filled the doorway like a blade. "What do you think you're doing?" she asked coldly. Mark swallowed hard. "Why did you marry me? What did my father do?" "That is not your place to ask," she snapped. "Do what you're told, and you'll leave this marriage better off than you started." Mark clenched his fists. "This isn't a marriage. It's a trap." Eleanor stepped closer, her eyes like ice. "A trap, Mark? Maybe you should have thought twice before signing the papers." Her lips curled. "You're just like your father. Blind." She left the room without another word. Mark stood alone, trembling. And somewhere deep inside him, a truth began to take shape. He was in danger. Real danger. The elevator doors slid open to the underground garage, where icy air clung to every surface. Snowflakes drifted from the exit ramp, carried by the cold wind. Emma shivered and tightened the thin sweater around her arms. Alex noticed immediately. "You're freezing," he muttered, shrugging out his heavy coat and placing it over her shoulders before she could refuse. I can't take this," she whispered. "It's not a gift. It's basic human decency. Keep it on." She fell silent. He guided her into the sleek black SUV. and they drove out into the snowstorm. For a while, the only sound was the rhythm of the wipers beating back the storm. Emma watched the falling snow with wide eyes, the city lights blurring behind a curtain of white. "Tell me one thing," Alex said suddenly. "When you disappeared earlier, were you leaving for good?" Emma stiffened. "I thought maybe it would be easier. For everyone. For everyone, or for you?" She swallowed. "Both." Alex tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "People don't leave unless they're running from something." Emma said nothing, but her silence was louder than any confession. After several miles, the city gave way to long, dark roads lined with towering pines weighed down by snow. The storm grew louder. At one point, Emma reached out and steadied herself as the car slid over a patch of ice. "Scared?" he asked. "No," she said softly. "Just not used to being in cars. Or anywhere safe with someone." That answer made his chest tighten more than the snowstorm. They finally arrived at a hill overlooking a stretch of frozen lake. The spot was quiet, untouched, and ringed with lanterns the wind had not yet extinguished. Emma's breath hitched. "It's beautiful." Alex parked, turned off the engine, and the world became nothing but wind, snow, and breath. "You asked why anyone would get you a Christmas present," he said, stepping out and opening her door. "I wanted you to see something." She followed him toward the railing. The storm softened, just slightly. Snow still fell, but the wind calmed long enough for the lake to glitter under the quiet sky. "I bought this land when I was younger," he said, "when I still believed in something. Hope, maybe, a future. It feels pointless now. But tonight, I didn't want to be here alone." Emma blinked back tears. "And you brought me? You've been alone enough for one lifetime." Her chin trembled. She looked away quickly, but Alex gently turned her back toward him. "When did you stop believing in yourself?" he asked quietly. "When no one believed me," she whispered. Lightning fast, too fast. Her chest began rising and falling unevenly. She pressed a hand against her ribs. "What's wrong?" he asked. It's just a panic attack. I get them when..." She inhaled sharply. "When I feel too much." Alex didn't think. He acted, his arms wrapped around her, without hesitation. For a fraction of a second, she froze, rigid, tense, as if touch itself was a threat. Then she melted. Her head collapsed against his chest, her fingers gripping the front of his shirt, as if anchoring herself to the present. "Is this okay?" he murmured. She nodded against him. "Yes. I haven't been held like this in a long time." Snow collected in her hair. Her breath came slower, steadier. "You're safe," he whispered. Emma's lips parted. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." His jaw ticked. "I know what loneliness looks like." She closed her eyes. "When my mom disappeared," she whispered, "I learned that nothing lasts. Not people, not promises, not safety." Alex's breath stilled. Her mother had disappeared? He pulled back only enough to see her face. "Emma, how long ago?" 3 years. Her voice cracked. She went on a blind date and never came back. His heartbeat went uneven. Did anyone look for her? No one cared. Her voice was so soft it nearly dissolved in the wind. "People said she ran away, that she abandoned me. But I know my mother. She wouldn't leave me. Someone took her." A single tear slid down her cheek. Alex caught it with his thumb. "I believe you," he said. Emma's breath shattered on a gasp. She stared at him as if those 3 words rewrote her entire universe. "Why?" she asked. "Everyone else said I was imagining it, that I was being dramatic or obsessive or..." "I lost my mother too," he said quietly. "No body, no answers." His throat worked. Sometimes the world doesn't give you closure. Sometimes you have to decide to survive anyway. Emma covered her mouth with her sleeve, trying not to sob. The storm picked that moment to howl again, stronger, colder, yet somehow, standing next to him, she didn't feel powerless. Alex squeezed her shoulders gently. "Come on, we're going back." She hesitated. "I thought you wanted to stay?" "I want you warm," he said, "and safe." They drove back through the storm, but this time the silence between them was different, not empty, not cautious. It felt like the fragile beginning of something neither of them understood yet. When they reached his penthouse lobby, the security guard blinked in surprise. Alex never brought anyone home. Ever. He escorted Emma inside, up to the elevator, and into the quiet warmth of his home. Christmas lights glowed faintly across the balcony, casting soft reflections. "You can stay here tonight," he said. "The storm's getting worse." Emma's eyes widened. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not." His voice was firm. "You won't ever be a burden to me." She lowered her gaze, embarrassed by how much those words warmed her. "Let me show you the guest room," he said. But Emma stayed frozen. Not frightened, just overwhelmed. When she finally spoke, her voice trembled. "Alex, why are you being so kind to me?" He answered without hesitation. "Because someone should have been kind to you long before I met you." Her throat tightened. She nodded, blinking fast. He opened the guest room door, soft light spilling over the snow-colored sheets and warm blankets. She stepped inside slowly, running her hand along the edge of the bed. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Before leaving, Alex paused at the doorway. "If you need anything at all, just knock." Emma swallowed hard. "Good night." "Good night, Emma." He closed the door gently, leaning against it for a moment, exhaling a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. What was he doing? Of all the nights, all the people. But then he remembered the way she trembled in his arms, the way she spoke about her mother, the way she looked at the snow-covered lake, like it was the first beautiful thing she'd seen in years. No, this wasn't a mistake. In the guest room, Emma slid under the covers, burying her face in the pillow. For the first time in 3 years, she felt safe enough to cry. And not because she felt broken, but because she finally felt seen. That night, Christmas Eve, a billionaire who trusted no one allowed someone into his guarded world. A girl who had lost everything found a small piece of hope again. Neither knew what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time, they weren't facing the storm alone.